Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. In today's video, I'm going to go over the 3 lessons that I learned when going from a D student that barely passed school from year 7 to 10 with bad habits, wanting to drop out, to changing myself and achieving a 97 plus ATAR, becoming the Dux in my cohort, getting a scholarship to study at UNSW, and getting a band 6, which is above 90 in every single one of my subjects. These 3 lessons completely changed my life, and I call them lessons, but they're also realizations, right? So lessons slash realizations, it is just the 3 top things that I realized that allowed me to completely change myself as a person and achieve a result that was like deemed kind of impossible. And not impossible in that sense, impossible in the sense that if you looked at my past, you would think there's no way this kid is achieving a 97 plus ATAR, right? So I'm just gonna jump right into it. Please take notes because these lessons are so valuable. It's more valuable than how to study. It's more valuable than tips and tricks out there. Like, these are my personal lessons that took me from a failing student to top results. All right, so let's jump right into it. Lesson number 1, the first lesson that I learned that allowed me to go from failing school to achieving those top results and being able to do all of this is that if you're the victim, you lose. Full stop. As long as you are the victim in your story or in your situation, you will always lose the battle and the war. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, you see, from year 7 to 10, I was always a victim in the sense that it was never my fault, right? I used to blame my school. I used to blame my friends. I used to blame my teachers. I used to blame my parents. I used to blame everyone. And I used to think that things were just happening to me as opposed to me doing the thing, right? And I see this so much now. Now that I mentor students pretty much full time, I see it myself, right? I see students who they make so many excuses. They do everything. They blame everything and everyone under the sun except for themselves. Oh, math I didn't do well in because it's too hard. Or I suck at this subject because my teacher is this, and that. You need to understand that no matter what the situation is, if you ultimately decide that you are the victim and you decide that it is not your fault but someone else's, you lose. Why? Because when you blame someone for something, even if, by the way, even if you're right, even if you do have bad teachers, I had bad teachers. Even if your subjects didn't scale well, my subjects didn't scale well. Even if your school isn't good, my school wasn't good. If you blame that thing or person, you relinquish all your power to do something about it. Because think about it, if I was to blame something and someone else for my situation, then I don't have to do anything about it because it's their fault. And that's what I was doing all my life in school. I used to blame everyone and everything. And because I blamed everyone and everything, I never felt the need to take action because, well, it's not my fault. And that's why I was so stuck for so long. So the realization I had was when it was in the beginning of year 11, when I looked back at my life and I realized that, hold up, this is all my fault. I'm the one who's deciding not to study. I'm the one who's deciding not to change myself. I'm the one who's deciding, yes, even though my teachers are bad, I'm the one who's deciding to not go ahead on my own time and use the syllabus that I have and use the textbooks that I have to get ahead on my own time, right? And this realization is what really, really woke me up to myself and allowed me to put things in my hand and take action on them. And that's what you need to be doing. So reflect on yourself right now. What excuses do I make? Do I blame my school? Do I blame my teachers? Do I blame whatever it is? I don't even care what the thing you're blaming is. It is all your fault at the end of the day. And you need to understand that and you need to force yourself to believe that, because when you believe that, you do something about it. And when you do something about it, that's how you change yourself. And that's exactly what happened to me. At the start of year 11, I woke up to myself and I realized, you know what? Everything is my fault. And I actually wrote this down. I wish I could show you, but I don't know where that book went. I wrote it down in a book saying, this is all my bloody fault. And I wrote that down when I was a failing student who was on the verge of dropping out. And the minute I wrote that it was my fault and that I truly believed it was my fault, that's when I started taking action on the things that I need to do. Now, did I go from failing to 90% instantly? Hell no. Even throughout the whole of year 11, I was still doing very average, 70%, maybe 80%, maybe 60%. I was still doing average, but the point is I was still doing something about it. So that by the time I got to year 12, that's when everything changed, ranked first and everything, got a 97 plus 8, and etc. So that's the first lesson slash realization, which is that it is all your fault, my friend. Everything is your fault and you are not the victim, no matter what the situation is. And the minute you realize that is the minute you can change yourself. Lesson number 2 is that intellect has got nothing to do with the ATAR you achieve. Your natural ability has got nothing to do with the ATAR you achieve. The person who gets a 99 plus ATAR isn't smarter than the person who gets a 70 ATAR. A person who gets a 99.95 isn't smarter than the person who gets a 95 ATAR. It's got nothing to do with intellect. The only true measure of getting the ATAR is 3 things. Number 1, the mindset of someone who achieves a 90 plus ATAR is completely different to someone who achieves a 50 ATAR. Completely different. Their beliefs are different, the way they see themselves is different, and the way they see the world is different. So mentality is number 1. Second thing is methods, right? The way a 90 plus ATAR student is studying is completely different to a way a person who gets a 50 ATAR studies, right? For example, if I was a really good driver and I had a terrible car, but then someone who's not good at driving had a better car than me, I will probably beat that person because I know how to drive a car, even though that person has a better car than me. And it's the same thing with school, right? It doesn't matter what that person has on top of you. It doesn't matter if they're smarter or they have a certain trait. It doesn't matter. If you know what to do, if you know how to prepare for an exam, if you know how to study for an exam, you will beat that person. And that's how I became the dux of my cohort. And this realization woke me up to myself because all this time in school, all these years in school, I used to think that it was intellect. Whenever I saw someone get a 9 plus 8, wow, they're just so smart. But the minute I realized, hold on, they're not smart. They're just studying harder than me, doing things better than me. So that's why they're getting the result. The minute you realize that, the minute you will get the ATAR you want, right? And you need to stop putting other people on a pedestal. If you put other people on a pedestal and other students on a pedestal, you're never ever going to do well. So when I realized this, I stopped putting people on a pedestal. That person in my school who was known to be super smart, I didn't look at them as smart anymore. I realized that I could beat them if I do things that they're not doing. That's the second thing. And the third thing is action. You need to put the action in. It's so funny, right? Students will complain to me that they're failing school or not doing well or barely passing and all this stuff, and then they're still scrolling all day. They're still staying in their comfort zone. They're still sleeping in. Like, no crap, you're gonna fail school. You're not even doing anything, right? So those are the 3 things that dictate your ATAR: mindset, methods, and action. No matter what ATAR you get, it all goes back down to those 3 things. I achieved the 97 plus ATAR because I had the mindset of one who gets a 97 plus ATAR, I had the methods of one, and the action of one who gets that ATAR. And if you have the same things, you will get the same things. And if you don't believe me, by the way, I'll give you proof. Here are some of my student results inside of Dux Academy. All of those people are able to make those academic comebacks and go from 60% to 97 plus ATARs and all that stuff simply because I taught them mindset, methods, and action. Once you know those 3 things, you can achieve any ATAR you want. And the final lesson or realization that I had that allowed me to achieve a 97 plus ATAR against all the odds was that content isn't your problem. You are the problem. You are not bad at any subject. You're not bad at biology. You're not bad at math. You're not bad at English, even if you failed all of those. The true problem isn't that you find the content hard of that subject. The problem is you. And you are being reflected in the subject, which is why you're not getting the results that you want, right? So you don't have content problems, you don't have subject problems, you have personal problems that are reflected in your subjects. And again, I'll give another example of this for absolute proof. I have a student here, Retha, put the photo here. She went from being a 60% student with tutoring. So before joining Dux Academy, she had tutoring and she was still getting 60 to 70%. Yet after Dux Academy, she was able to get a 97 plus ATAR and become the dux of a cohort. And the funniest thing about all of this is I don't teach tutoring. I don't teach any of the content. I'm not a tutor. Dux Academy isn't tutoring. So how the hell was this student able to go from 60% to a 97 plus ATAR without any tutoring? It's because I showed her how to fix herself, how to study properly, how to fix her mindset, how to take actions, how to prepare for each subject. And this is the same thing with you. If you're failing math, it's not because you're bad at math. It's because you're studying for math wrong. You're preparing for it wrong. You're thinking about it wrong. And when you have all these things going wrong, how the hell do you expect to do well? And I mean, think about it right now. If you have a tutor right now, and again, no hate on tutors, but it's just the truth. If you have a tutor right now and you're still not doing well in school, what does that show you? It shows you that the content is never the problem. The fact is, you have access to all the content. You have AI, you have textbooks, you have your teachers. You have so many forms of information, so why are you still failing? It's because you're not doing the right things with that information. And that's the truth. So when I personally realized this, again, this was around start of maybe middle of year 11, I realized the same thing. I realized, hold up, Yes, I'm failing math. Yes, I'm not doing well in math, but how am I studying for it? And then I realized I was studying for it wrong. I was studying for it by just taking notes and doing a few questions. You can't do well like that. And the reason why this realization or lesson, which is content is not your problem, you are, is so amazing. And the reason why it's so powerful is that when you really understand that the content isn't your problem, well, guess what? You can do well in every single subject, no matter how hard or easy it is supposedly, right? And the crazy part is when you really believe that content isn't the issue, you can do well in all subjects. Take me, for example, when I was in university, I was able to get a HD in chemistry, even though I didn't do chemistry in high school. In fact, I had people in university asking me how to do well in chemistry. How is that possible? It's because I know how to study and learn and apply and prepare for exams, which allows you to do well in all your subjects. So stop making it seem like some people are good at this subject or some people are bad at that subject. It doesn't exist. It is only you, and that's it. So those are the 3 lessons that completely changed my life. Lesson number 1, you are not the victim. And if you keep blaming other people and you keep making it sound like you're the victim, you're always gonna fail. Lesson number 2 is that intellect and natural ability doesn't exist when it comes to the ATAR. You don't have to have any of those. It's completely going down to methods, action, and mindset. And finally, lesson number 3 that completely changed my life and allowed me to go from failing to a 97+ ATAR is that content is never the problem, it's you. You're not bad at chemistry, you're not bad at any subject, you're just bad at preparing for them. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you enjoyed this new view. And if you want my personal help in making an academic comeback so you can get results like this, you can check the free training video in the description down below. It's a free 16-minute video that goes over the process that I take my students to make an academic comeback completely for free. Check it out. And then after that, if you're interested, you can book a call with me to see if you're a good fit for the program itself. But nonetheless, please make sure you take these lessons on board, because just how they changed my life and just how they changed the hundreds of students I've mentored, it will change yours too. I'll see you in the next one.